everyone, this is Cindy from Stamps with Aloha, and in this series of videos I'm going to teach you some creative ways to use your Memories and More card bases to create some really out-of-the-box cards. Our featured product is going to be the Wildflower Birthday Specialty Designer Series paper, which is just gorgeous, and we'll be using that on all the projects that I'm going to be sharing with you. So let's go ahead and get started with project number 1. For our first project, I'm going to teach you how to create a slide card. And so for that, we're going to need one of these large Memories and More card bases. I'm also going to use my Stampin' trimmer here. And so I'm going to take this and I'm going to place this inside my trimmer, and I'm going to cut this down to 8 inches. Okay, so I'm going to remove a 1/2 inch piece. For our next step, I'm going to score, and I want to score on the opposite end, and I'm going to score this at a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to line it up at the 1/2 inch mark. I'm going to move away the cutting blade, and then I'm going to use my scoring tool, and I'm going to score at a 1/2 inch. Okay. For the next step, I'm going to take that 1/2 inch part, and I'm going to fold it in, and I'm going to use my bone folder, and then I'm going to fold the card over, and I'm going to crease it. Okay, for the next step, I'm going to add some adhesive. So I have my multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm going to place glue all the way down the side fold here, and then I'm going to put just a thin strip across the bottom, really thin strip. Okay, and then I'm going to take my card and fold it over, and we'll just stick that together. For our next step, I'm going to take a circle punch. I'm using 1 3/4 inches, but you could use 2 inches. And on the side of the cardstock that I did not glue, I'm just going to punch a little circle punch like that. For the next step, we are going to add a piece of bubble bath cardstock. And this is 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. And I'm going to be using the Dashing Designs 3D embossing folder to add some texture. So I'm going to place this inside the embossing folder. And then I'm going to go ahead and run this through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So once that's been textured, then you can choose which side you want to put on the top, and then go ahead and take some adhesive, place adhesive on the back, and we're going to place that on the front of our card. Now for our focal point of this card, we are going to be using this cupcake image. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you how I cut this paper up in order to get just the piece that I want. So the first thing I'm going to do is place it in my trimmer, and I'm going to line it up so that the bottom of these tags is right along the well here where my blade is going to go. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. Okay. Then when I want to use these tags, I can individually cut them like this. All right. Put that to the side. Then I'm going to come in here, and I don't want to cut here because I don't want to ruin this piece. So I'm going to line it up right here next to the cupcake, and I'm going to cut straight down. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to cut straight down here. Line it up in the well and cut it. Okay, and now we're getting closer to the focal point that I want. I can turn it this way and cut it again. And one more time, turn it and cut it again. And now you have the focal point, and then all those other pieces can be used on other projects. Next, I have a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 piece of blueberry bushel cardstock. I'm going to take my focal point cupcake piece. I'm going to add some adhesive to the back, and I'm going to place this in the center of this piece. Okay, I'm going to turn this over and add dimensionals. I'm going to take off the back. And then I'm going to take and glue this onto the front of my card. So next we are going to work on the inside of our card. And so I have a piece of pool party cardstock, and now this has been cut at 3 1/2 by 6 1/4. And I'm going to go ahead and just slide it in here. Right? So it's going to just stick out a tiny little bit at the top. And so right here where it's sticking out, I'm going to get a hole punch and punch a little hole. All right, next I'm going to take a pencil and I'm just going to make a tiny little line right there because I'm going to do some stamping and I don't want the stamping to show above that line right there. So I want to make sure that I stamp my sentiment below that little line. All right, and then the stamp set that I'm going to be using is the birthday celebration, and I'm going to be stamping Make a Wish using blueberry bushel ink. And then I'm just going to use an eraser to take off that little pencil line. Okay, for the bottom of the card here, I'm going to use some of this designer series paper. I'm going to use my adhesive. And I'm going to glue this paper here at the bottom of my card. I love the gold in this, and with that little scallop, it kind of reminded me of clouds. All right, for the next step, I'm going to go to those punched out images, and I'm going to take out the balloons, and I'm going to be putting the balloons so that they're in the bottom corner, and that they're going to just go at an angle, and it'll be right above where I stamped my sentiment there. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to use some dimensionals to attach this to the card. All right, now we're going to take the card and we are going to place it in here and slide it into the pocket. Okay, because we made that little pencil mark, we shouldn't be able to see the words there. And then all we have to do to finish this card is add a piece of ribbon. So part of this suite is this fabulous open weave trim. So I'm just going to cut a small piece. And then I'm going to kind of thread it through. I use my little stylus tool, or you could use the tip of your scissors. You want to just thread it through the hole. And then I'm going to tie a knot. This ribbon is really, really fun. Okay? And that looks good like that. I'm just going to give it a little trim. And we are going to complete project number 1 by adding some party dots. Perfect name, right? So we have our party dots here, and so I'm going to place a large one over here. I'm going to place a small pool party one at an angle, and then we'll do one final large one, and I'm going to do it right here next to the pink flower so it just looks like it's a part of that cluster of flowers there. And this completes the first alternate way to use the Memory and More card bases to create a slider card. Okay, and now we are going to move on to project number 2, in which I'm going to teach you how to use the Memory and More card bases to create a really beautiful shadow box card. So I'll see you back for project number 2. Until then, aloha!